All right, everybody, welcome to the SteveJoe Podcast. Man, it's a special day today, man.
Man, first of all, the first episode, monumental.
Absolutely.
Game changer.
Joe, I had fun, bro.
Man.
Listen. I want to go here before we get started.
Gotcha.
Hold on a second. Why don't y'all get some takes on the first episode?
What?
You give a couple takes of what you thought, and then you give a couple takes. Because everybody might not have saw it.
I feel you.
Everybody might not have saw it.
Yeah.
So
go ahead and introduce Don.
I'm gonna introduce Don.
Okay.
We'll get some takes to the people. I'll start over.
I'm handsome, I'm fast, I'm pretty, and can't possibly be beat. They know it.
Pure exhilaration, feel it when you leave the earth. 100% adrenaline rush is what we know it's worth. If nothing else, we came to do it.
You can edit it out. Just keep going.
Oh, all right, bro. Don't do that no more.
I get it. I like it, bro.
Yeah. Spot, we starting over.
I don't know why we started over. You, keep on.
No, you're not. Keep going. We're not starting over.
All right, let's go. This is SteveJoe Podcast. This is real. This is reality. This is not fake.
Hey, Joe,
We're not
that
starting.
monster right there.
We ain't cutting the tape. We're gonna keep it going.
Hey, listen, bro. Listen. So this is typically how we me and Don, his relationship goes. This guy says anything. But before we get started, before I introduce Don, I want to give a little shout out to my family. My auntie, Aunt Yvonne, she's not doing well. She's she's in her last days. Unless a miracle happens. But I want to give a shout out to my family, the Cheatham family, the Moulton family. She's a pioneer of our family. She's always kept our family in line. She's always prayed for us. She always, was just a soldier for God. And that has to be appreciated. She was devout in what she believed. And I didn't appreciate it a lot growing up because I didn't want to hear it all the time. But I can appreciate the value of that now. Being on my own and understanding the quarrels of this world. So
that was your mom's sister?
Yes.
Or dad? Or your mom?
Aunt Yvonne, yeah.
Okay.
But I really appreciate her and all she's contributed to society. So, yeah. But anyway, introducing my guy, man. We got a special guest today. Special guest today. My guy, Coach D, Donovan Davis, little brother. Listen. It's not a lot of people in my life.
To my kids, don't drink these.
It's not a lot of people in my life, bro. I feel like LeBron. I feel like I played with greatness my whole life. I feel like I had a cheat code my whole life because, we met in the 7th grade and we was best friends for a long time. Then, when I went to college, when did we become roommates?
Sophomore year?
Sophomore year? So, listen, bro. Since I met Don, when I met this guy, I don't think we've ever went a day from that. Maybe a day without talking to each other in some type of way, whether it be no matter what it is. And that's been since what, kid? What 2006?
2005, bro. 2005.
Long time, bro. We've been tight for a long time, man. And the guy, and I wanted to have Don on the podcast because what we're trying to building Black value in our community. And I watched this guy go. We played football in college together. I watched this guy grow into a husband, a father, a business owner, and a plethora of different things. And his gifts are multifaceted. And I'm gonna be honest with you. This is one of the swag.
Hold on a second. We was on Drink Champs. Round of applause. If this was Drink Champs, that would be a round of applause.
We do have a round of applause right here, man. There we go.
Telling minority.
So Joe, but I want to introduce to everybody, man. This guy's incomparable. This guy is infamous. He's a pleasure to be around. I love his kids. His kids are my God kids. My kids are his God kids. I mean, our friendship, and I want to go into friendship too, it is inseparable.
Facts, bro.
And man, listen, bro, I'll die for this guy. That's why I wanted to have him on our first episode, man, because to me, if anything happened to my family, I would trust this guy with my life.
Likewise, bro.
And and I haven't said this. We don't talk like this a lot, but I want the world to know that, man, friendship is so valuable, man. It gets you through a lot.
We need to talk like this as men. Scratch just black men, just as men.
Facts.
In general, we need to have conversations like this and let people know that I appreciate your friendship, man.
Right.
I value your brotherhood. Like, you're a good friend. We don't have those conversations enough, man. I don't know why the toxic masculine energy.
Well, not even so much as we get older, but we need to start having these conversations with our kids now, our sons.
Exactly.
So when they get our age, it's like second nature to them.
Absolutely.
You know? That doesn't mean you're this or that. You just want to start getting used to expressing how you feel. Yeah. And ain't nothing wrong with you saying, hey, bro, I die for my brother. Hey, bro, I love you. Steve, I love you.
Absolutely.
Joe, I love you. Jog, I love you. You know?
So, you know, I'm glad you said that, man, because I make it so intentional because my father told me he loved me, but I feel like I didn't hear it enough. And I make it a point. I'm so intentional. I tell my son all the time, every day, I love you. I love you.
How old is he?
Your back. He's 4 years old now.
Wow.
Yeah. I tell him all the time. I show affection to my son. I hug my son.
Same thing you do, kid boy.
Yeah.
But I give him a kiss on the cheek. Daddy loves you. Daddy has your back. Because I feel like as men, we just did not do that enough. I didn't receive that enough.
That's good.
And you never at one point thought your dad didn't love you.
Exactly.
It's just now that you look back on it, you're like, man, I wish I could have just expressed it more.
Yes.
And now you're doing that through your son.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
My son, he'll tell me, he'll be watching his iPad, man, and he'll just out of the blue, I love you, Dad. And it make me feel bad because I know I should be telling him more than what I do. He tells me more than I am. So it just keeps me on my toes.
Don, do you think how was the relationship with your father growing up in terms of affection and things like that? And how does it have an effect on you now the way you deal with your son?
Right. So like I just said to you, my dad, he worked a lot, man. And, you know, he comes from, you know, the 50s is when he was born. And it was just that gritty fatherhood.
Industrial.
Right.
Yeah.
Just take it on the chin. And so he didn't necessarily hug me and tell me he loved me, but I always knew he did. Yeah. And so as I got older, I wanted to kind of change that narrative with my son, you know what I'm saying, as far as just being more open, more expressive. And if I try to make it a point to let my son know at least 5 to 6 times a day, hey, listen, man, I love being your father. You're an excellent kid. I love you, son. Come give me a hug. I'll pick him up and hold him just like your baby. You know my son, he's 6. He's a big kid, but I still pick him up and just squeeze him. You know what I mean? I want him to feel that love, not just tell him I want him to feel that love.
So we're gonna come back to this. I want y'all to hold those thoughts there. So we're gonna transition.
You get ready to go where I want to go, and that's that Tiger Woods.
I'm gonna go to that. No, before I go there,
okay.
I'm gonna go to this. I want to get your opinions. I want to talk about the Super Bowl first. I want to talk about the narrative with Brady and Mahomes.
Okay.
To me, I'm nervous. I've never in a Super Bowl felt like there was more on the line culturally, from a sports perspective, and so many different other avenues. I think this has implications. And it's a lazy take, but it is Michael Jordan versus LeBron. It would be if we seen both of them in their primes. And Brady a little bit past his prime, but I don't think so. I think he still got the zip. He still got everything he ever had, because it's not like he was ever athletic anyway. So I think mentally he's sharper than ever. Yeah, but Don, let me ask you this, Don. Who do you have for the Super Bowl and why?
I'm going to say this. I think Mahomes takes it. The only reason I say that is because Brady's already expressed that he wants to play another 3 or 4 years. So if you believe in the football gods, you would say that it's not really crunch time for Brady. He's already won everything he's going to run. And another thing, too, Joe, I don't think Andy Reid can make a bad call at this point.
Airbnb too.
He is in a zone.
He's been in the zone for the last 3 years.
He's in a. It's Andy Reid's time.
Yeah. Let me ask you this though, Don. 2 questions. Steve and I were talking
I'm good,
about
y'all.
this.
Okay.
If you're the NFL, who do you want to win? And who does America want to win?
That's good.
Well, here's the thing. If I'm the NFL, I can't go wrong with either. Brady, different team, wins a Super Bowl first year. Pat Mahomes riding on this high horse, wins another Super Bowl back-to-back. America, I think we're divided. I think I think it could go either way.
Go ahead and say it. Say what it really is.
I ain't gonna say it. You can say it.
Listen. Because I'm gonna throw this question out, and I think if you're the NFL, if you're smart, it's a bad look to have Tom Brady beat the future of your league.
It is.
Hold on a second.
I believe that too.
Future or face? Because is he the face yet?
I think it's no question.
While Tom Brady is still playing, is he the face yet?
I think he is.
I think he's.
Can we 100% say he's the face right now of the league?
They gave him $500 million.
Yeah, I think he's the face. I think he's the face of the league.
I think listen, Patrick Mahomes' skill set is like none other, bro. He has every trait at every quarterback that's ever lived to have. It's in one body. He can get outside the pocket. He can look. He can throw the ball downfield. He got touch on the ball.
Joe and Steve, he's hurt doing this.
Yeah, that's what's so scary
He's
about
not
it.
even 100.
He's not 100.
That's what I'm saying.
He just came out of concussion. He's got foot issues.
Yeah.
He's hurt doing this.
The NFL, and this
That's
is
true.
They're in a position to bring the NBA into this. I think if the NBA could go back, they would do things a little bit differently because Michael Jordan's shadow was just hovered over the NBA until recently. You could not talk about a player
That's facts.
without bringing up Michael Jordan.
That's
until recently, we now could start talking about LeBron. If Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl and wins 7 against the future of your league, then Tom Brady's shadow lingers over the NFL.
Absolutely.
To where all these young and up-and-coming quarterbacks, you can't have a conversation without them without bringing up Tom Brady.
Well, I heard on ESPN that some people were saying that, I think Stephen A. Smith said this. He was like, if Brady beats Mahomes could never eclipse Brady.
Exactly.
Because he never beat Brady.
Exactly.
So it didn't matter if they were saying, even if he wins 7 or 8, he still can't eclipse Brady because Brady beat him in his prime at 43.
If I'm Brady, I beat him and I walk away.
That's his best bet.
That
is his best bet.
I think he will walk away if he wins.
No question.
Well,
there's nothing else for him to do.
I went to a different team. First of all, let's just go ahead and say this. They gave Tom Brady everything he wanted on that roster. And more.
Without question.
They did.
That don't happen, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You got AD, you got Mike Evans, you got what's the other guys? The receiver, number 14.
You talking about Goodwin.
Godwin.
He dropped so many balls in playoffs.
Then they went and gave him Fournette.
You got
Ronald Jones. I think Ronald Jones is better.
Then told him you can bring the boy Gronk.
And you got Gronk, who shouldn't even be out there.
And let me say this too. In White, the linebacker from Tampa Bay.
Wow.
He's gonna be an all-time great.
Wow.
He's an all-time great. He will be he runs a 4.3, and he got the strength of Ray Lewis and the IQ of Luke Kuechly. Yeah, listen, bro, he is ridiculous.
He comes.
If the Bucks win the Super Bowl, my prediction is that he will be the MVP. He will be the reason why.
That's the only way they can do it.
Because let's be
the MVP of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You think they'll give
if the Bucks, because that means you're stopping Mahomes.
Exactly.
And he'll be a big reason because he can cover east to west. Well, think about it. The traditional middle linebacker can't run east to west. They normally can beat you north and south. He can beat you east and west. He can cover running backs out of the backfield. I've seen him play in a slot before, bro. Down in the red zone, he can do that.
Yes. Joe, you think they're going to give that to a defensive guy over Brady?
Yes. Because
they did it with Peyton Manning.
I was about to ask you.
Von Miller. Remember Von Miller got it?
Yeah. Tom Brady doesn't need any more Super Bowl MVPs. His legacy is solidified. He doesn't even need the Super Bowl. He wants the Super Bowl.
This is for him. This is for himself.
But I think Brady can still win in both scenarios. It's Mahomes that'll be the big loser because he has to come back for years and years and years. And that's going to linger over him.
And I just don't think the NFL is in a win-win position right now because Tom Brady can become the face of American athletics, team sports.
Right now, do you think he'll pass Jordan?
Yes, we're already hearing those discussions in the media right now. The narrative.
What do you think, Don?
No, we know this, Don. You, me, Steve,
but
logical thinking people. But we.
Do you mean as far as a fan base or the media crowning him? Because I think LeBron has already passed. I'll say this. I don't want to get into the debate.
Hold on a second. Let's not leave that point. You was about to say something. I think you're going where I think you want.
The,
Go ahead.
The media in certain segments in America want Tom Brady to be the face of American team sports.
Why?
Right now, I'm not going to listen.
I just asked you why.
Listen, there are different reasons.
Why? What you mean? There's not different reasons. Why would you want Tom Brady to be the face of American sports?
Well, some people just prefer football more than basketball.
I don't agree with that one, Joe.
But
I'm saying as far as Tom Brady to be the face of.
I don't think Tom Brady. I don't think he has enough story, enough cachet. I think his play is phenomenal. But I don't see him. His brand beyond football. People don't want it. People don't even talk about him on sports shows all that much, other than Undisputed.
But we are already hearing the narrative that's being played out there. Yes or no? I've heard it on several occasions that if Tom Brady wins 7, they started it when Tom Brady won his 6th Super Bowl. But those conversations kind of died down because people realize like this is kind of ridiculous.
So what do you think is the core root then?
I mean, listen, the big elephant in the room, there's race always, this is America. Race is always going to play a little bit or a lot into the story. Does race have something to do with it? Would some people prefer Tom Brady, the all-American white quarterback, to be the face of American sports? Yes, we're not going to deny that. But right now, Michael Jordan is the face of American team sports. When you think of great team athletes, when you think of greatness, you think of Michael Jordan. Why? Because of the 6 championships.
Well, he wasn't that great of a teammate if you watch the documentary.
No, I agree with that. But if Tom Brady wins his 7th Super Bowl, he will supplant Michael Jordan as being the greatest American athlete of all time.
I don't know if that's going to happen immediately. It might have to be like after he retires down the road because we still really now feeling the effect of Jordan. And then they put the documentary out and we were like you said, dang, I didn't realize how big he really was.
He was huge.
I didn't realize how big he really was. Like now I'm really thinking like, man, this guy was bigger than life.
He was. Now let's go here. Now think about this. Speaking of how big he was, I'm gonna go back to the point you said earlier, Don, when you was talking about how big Tiger Woods was. And before this documentary, I knew he was big. I felt it. But when I watched the documentary, bro, you could feel the energy that people had towards Tiger Woods in 96, 97, 98. I mean, bro, I didn't know. I was young back then, but I had no idea Tiger Woods was that big.
Can I ask y'all a question real quick? Do you feel like, after watching that documentary, do you feel like Tiger Woods has or had a soul? Did it feel like he was soulless at times?
It felt cold. And I'll say this, and let's go back to, let's rewind, Don, and go back to what we was talking about with the father and son thing. We seen Earl Woods on there, right?
Yeah.
And he pushed him.
He did.
Listen, bro, he pushed him. And the documentary tried to tell you how bad it was, but it really couldn't illustrate what Tiger became, that coldness that you're talking about at the end. And looking at the documentary, you both having sons, is there a threshold, Don? Mm-hmm. And I'll ask you, Don, this question first, and you can answer it too, Joe. What's the threshold of you pushing your son in athletics? Like, where is there a stopping point? And I want you to be totally honest. What is your perspective being a coach, being a father with the son that's really athletic, that has some promise? How far do you go? I want you to answer that question too, Joe.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
I mean, of course, if you are a father and you play sports or you're into sports, you want your son to be a little bit athletic initially. But now that I have a son, man, I could care less if he's in athletics or not. I just want him to be a good person, a good human being. Now, with that being said, and I told my wife this, Steve, I played soccer. I was a phenomenal soccer player.
Of course, absolutely.
Like the thing that held me from being overseas in England right now, playing for the English Premier League, is I didn't have, my father was present in my life, but if my father were in the house and he recognized my ability, he would have pushed me like Earl Woods did.
See, I'm glad you went first. Go ahead.
So, if I see, because right now he's 4, he's just learning, he's having fun. But if he picks up soccer, my sport, his father's sport, and I can see that, man, this guy has the ability to be something special, I'm going to push him.
Good.
I am going to push him because I want him to maximize his ability the same way I would have wanted my father to maximize my ability. So I don't fault Earl Woods for that.
Gotcha.
It's just the other things that he lacked, and he didn't realize that, man. And Don, you know this. You have a son. The same-sex parent is the most influential parent in the relationship. And my son watches literally every single thing that I do. And Tiger was watching literally every single thing that his daddy did,
good.
including
really good.
watching those women go inside that van.
Yes, it was.
That was.
So to your point, Steve's point, it's a two-part question to this.
Yes.
You asked about the threshold. We really got to sit back and ask ourselves, if there was no Earl, golf probably would never have been transcended the way it did.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
The sport moving forward with just a new face.
So the ends justify the means.
Right. And then you think about this too.
Okay.
You got the Serena Williams twins. If there was no Mr. Williams, there may have never been
A Serena or Venus.
a Serena
Yeah.
or a Venus. How many parents are out there that could have pushed their kids and those numbers been multiplied?
Yeah.
A Serena, a Venus, a Tiger, a Mr. Jordan. So you have the threshold, but then you also have, what if the parents would have pushed their kids, and now we got an influx of kids who could have changed the world and sports as we know it. There's been times where I trained my son and I had to sit back afterwards and say, dang man, you kind of went too far there. And I had to go to him and apologize.
But stay right there. Why? Why do you feel that?
You see
It could be.
You know what I'm saying? Why do you feel bad after you push him hard?
It could have been I might have gotten emotional and not felt like he picked it up as fast as I would have liked him to, or I may have explained something multiple times and he's continued to do it wrong. But then when I see him get better, I'm like, maybe I do have the right approach. You know?
So it's a double-edged sword.
It's a double-edged sword, man, and it's a very thin line to where you might have thought Mr. Earl was deranged and effed up, but think about long term where he saw a vision that nobody else saw.
He did. He
And,
said on the
and
press
you gotta be
conference too.
comfortable. You gotta be comfortable with people not seeing you. You gotta be comfortable with people seeing you crazy when you got a vision.
I think we're being too.
That's good,
I
Don.
think we're being too hard on Earl. Earl wasn't deranged. I think
Earl was crazy. The man told you. He said Earl was a great BSer.
He did say
Earl, I can see right through the Earl.
But they said Tiger's mother as well.
I see the coldness in her eyes.
I feel like
She said it too in the
and
documentary.
watching that documentary, I feel like the coldness came from her mother. I feel like the personality that he does have came from his father. I feel like his father's downfall is that his father just wasn't cognizant of the fact that his son was literally watching everything that he did, because he ended up repeating the same behaviors as his father with the womanizing and sleeping with different women. I feel like if you remove that from the equation, then Tiger would have been a decent human being.
You can't do that though.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
So was it a combination of both?
I think it was a combination of both.
But even now, when I watch the documentary, as cold as Tiger's mom was, as cold as Tiger looked, he looks as cold as this brick wall.
Yes.
I'm not sure, Joe, Steve, if I know who Tiger is. And you have to ask yourself, is that Earl's fault? Did he go so far to the point where he didn't even allow his son to grow a personality? You know?
Let me ask an honest question to both of you guys.
Hold on a second. My mom calling real quick. Let me answer this. What's up, Mom? Hello?
SteveJoe Podcast.
Hey, I'm in the middle of the podcast, Mom.
Man, listen. This is literally what happens with this guy.
My bad.
But let me ask a question though. Do you guys ever feel like you're living through your sons? With the thing that with maybe some of the stuff that you never got to fulfill? Or do you push your son harder because of that? Or do you ever see yourself kind of doing that?
I mean, that's a good question. My biggest thing is I want to make sure, like, the areas in where I feel like my father I don't want to say lack or came up short.
Right.
I want to make sure that my son doesn't feel the same way I did. I'm not living through my son. So hypothetically speaking, like fast forward 10 years and my son is playing soccer. He is a phenomenal soccer player. He has potential. I'm not going to make my dream fulfilled through him.
Gotcha.
I'm not going to do that. And I think a lot of parents do that, live vicariously through their children because they wish they would have been the athlete that made it all the way to the top. We have examples. It's possible. Like, look at the Manning boys. Like, Archie got that right.
He does.
This is a certain line that you have to walk. And unfortunately, and I think Richard Williams, like, he gets a lot of blame. He did a good job too, because Serena and Venus, like, they're decent.
LeVar Ball?
LeVar Ball did a good job. LeVar Ball is LeVar.
He did.
I think the results of Lonzo is more of a Lonzo thing. I think LeVar had to be boisterous because he knew like Lonzo was very quiet, very meek. He didn't have that same veracity as LaMelo.
I think what he got wrong with Lonzo, he got right with Melo.
I disagree.
Because Melo got it all.
I disagree. I think he knew that he didn't have to do all that with Melo.
Well, Melo, but I think Lonzo took the beating from Melo. I think because he ruined Lonzo Ball's first year. If all that talk, remember he was saying he was going, and listen, LeVar even had. I'm on camera saying some crazy stuff. I was saying Lonzo Ball was the best point guard in the NBA. I was saying anything because LeVar Ball had really convinced me that he was, but he had all the intangibles.
LeVar got Lonzo to where he is. If you remove LeVar Ball from the equation, Lonzo made it just be finishing up his UCLA career. I think that's the difference. He knew that, man, Lonzo just doesn't have that it. LaMelo, he knows LaMelo has that it.
Yes,
LaMelo is his own man, so he knew, like, you know what? I don't need to do all these antics with LaMelo. LaMelo got this. I can sit back. I feel like that's
so what you're saying is he sold Lonzo Ball to us.
Exactly. He sold Lonzo Ball to us.
So it was overpriced.
Well, he's still selling because if you listen to him talk still, you'll still think Lonzo, LaMelo, and LiAngelo are going to win the championship together.
Exactly.
And he wanted to play all on the same team.
Yeah.
Do you think black fathers like LeVar Ball get a fair shot in the media? Was it different from the Manning dad versus the LeVar dad? And do you think there is a discrepancy when you see how the media handles both of them? Because LeVar had to lobby for his kid. Because let's be honest, Eli Manning, he did some good things, but he was shaky.
But that's a part of LeVar's sales pitch, though.
Yes,
that's a part of his sales pitch. Like all that extra stuff he does when he goes on shows. That's a part of his package. So is it unfair? No, because everybody knows that that's what LeVar gonna do when he get in front of the camera.
I agree.
We don't take that serious.
No, we don't.
If you know basketball, you know that Lonzo, his game hadn't gotten better. His shots actually gotten worse.
Nah, he should, man. He do.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
He on my Pelicans, so
he has not gotten better since.
He's in his own head.
And we've gotten a lot. We have a lot of examples to go by. Look,
Yeah,
we're talking about the Super Bowl. People may not realize this, but Patrick Mahomes' father played Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
There are different ways to go about it. I think a lot of it has to do with your personality. And there is a difference between an Archie Manning and Patrick Mahomes' father. Like, they actually played professional sports.
Yeah.
So they didn't necessarily have
I
to
agree.
live
I can agree with that.
vicariously through their sons. Comparison to Earl Woods or someone like that who his dream was his dream, not Tiger's dream.
That's right.
He wanted his son to get to the top because I think deep down he felt like he could get to the top, but he wasn't able to. So I think there is a difference. You said we can't really compare the two. It's an apples and oranges comparison.
Yeah, and you got to be careful, man, and just make sure you're not coming from a place. So, like, when I train my son, Steve will tell you, when I train my son, there's been times where he's been in literal tears while we're doing, specific training drills. And it's not to push him away. It's to get him to understand that practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect, son.
That's good.
So if I'm having you do this over and over and over and over and over and over again, it's to get you mentally ready for when, like Earl did, he would walk by and jiggle his keys.
Yeah.
He would move the ball.
Yeah.
Those things are getting you ready for the future. So you may be crying now. You ain't dying. I'm not putting no gun to your head. It may be a little tough, but when he gets 10, 11, 12, things are going to start. The game is going to come easier to him. And I watch my son excel. He's 5 years old, and I watch him excel. He doesn't understand how good he is. I know how good he is, but I can't let him know.
No, absolutely not.
And it's from hours and hours and hours of preparation in the garage, in the backyard, at the gym. And I'm thinking, I got a 6-month-old, and I'm thinking to myself, like, dang, I got to do this all over again. I mean, this like Earl said. Earl said something special. He said, a lot of man hours.
It is.
Yeah.
So let's go back here. So we got our special guest.
And before you go on, I don't want you to think it's just all about sports. You also got to take those same man hours and raise your kids. You got to raise kids, man.
Go ahead and preach then, Don.
You have to really raise kids. Like my son is starting to ask questions now that I can't lie to him no more. He want to know.
That's facts.
Daddy, why such and such live over here and his dad don't live in the same house like you and mommy do? And he catch me. I'm on the fly, like I gotta think of something. Yeah. Well, I don't know, son. You're gonna ask his mom and dad that. These are the things he's asking me.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I mean to get on.
But no, that's key. But another thing to build on that, Don, is raising your kids and taking a documentary is more so than just talking. Like they look at your actions.
Yes.
Like that's what's so paramount in that documentary. And that's what it stood out to me. That's what resonated with me the most as being a father of a 4-year-old. Is I was already cognizant and conscious of that, but it really heightened that because I'm like, man, all of the things
that's right
that Earl taught him.
Yep.
It was the one thing that Earl didn't teach him, but he watched.
That's
ended up being his downfall.
That's good.
And he
he
did it 10 times worse.
Yes.
Because he had money.
You on fire right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So really, like when you're raising your kids, you got to be that whole do what I say and not what I do thing. That just doesn't exist.
It doesn't. Because kids are more aware. So let me go here too.
His girlfriend said he called her screaming, crying, saying, "My daddy's out again," and he knew what his dad was doing, and he turned right around and did the same thing his dad did.
Why do you keep interrupting me?
My bad, bro. Go ahead.
I'm trying to introduce you, bro.
I'm sorry.
So here we go. So we got a special guest here, man.
Yes, sir.
We talked about some sports, some NFL stuff, but we want to dive into you, Don. The reason why you're here, I talked about it a little earlier about how proud I am of you and where you come from. But I want to rewind though. Tell us about your childhood. How was it for you growing up? What kind of childhood did you have?
Yeah, most definitely, man. So my mom was a teacher, minister. My dad worked. He was my coach. Grew up both parents. Both parents in the household, very involved. Second grade, I started homeschooling. Second grade, my parents just thought it was a better route for us to take. So we homeschooled from second grade all the way up to 8th grade.
Wow. How was it? How was that experience of being homeschooled, or you had no awareness of?
I had awareness because some like my cousins, they would kind of make fun of me. Oh, you do school at home, and then people would ask me like, well, what about the social aspect? This, that, and the third. And I think for the most part, I came out fine. But once we really got heavily involved in sports, my sisters and my parents decided that they had instilled in us everything I guess that they thought we would need, and my 9th grade year, they put us in public school. And I'll go and tell you, man, public school is where I learned everything bad. Everything I learned.
Why do you think this is the case, though?
I don't think I know.
I'm saying, but what do you mean when you say public? Is it public school's fault or your experience? I'm trying to figure out why did you learn everything bad?
I wouldn't say. I'm not saying I did the things that I learned, but that's when I was exposed to.
Gotcha. Just because you was out the house,
right? Gotcha. I was exposed to the world and exposed to everything ain't like it is up under them 4 walls in your house every single day. So yeah, we my sisters and I went to school and started getting heavily into sports. Played ball.
Did you play sports prior? What about when you were homeschooled? Did you play sports?
Yes, we did.
So how did you get in? How did you start? So football was your sport, correct?
Football was my sport. My dad played football. My
Okay.
mom was a basketball player. Okay.
Okay.
And typically your kids cling to what you like. And football was one of the things that I clung to. One day my dad came home and said, "I'm going to go sign you up for football." He didn't give me no option. He didn't give me no choice. He just said, "I'm going to sign you up." And he took me, signed me up, and it was in Calhoun, South Carolina. My first year, I'll never forget playing football. And there was these two kids on the team, and they were bigger than me. And they used to, now that I think about it, it was bullying. They would bully me, man. Like, just hit me really hard, late after the play. And I know my dad saw these things because he was a coach. I know he saw it, but he never stepped in and said anything. And now that I look back on it, he did it because he knew that it would make me tougher.
Wow.
And to this day, bro, that's probably the reason why I trained the way I do. I played the way I did with just like this tenacity of just.
Where'd you go to high school? Where'd you play high
I
school?
played high school ball at Malden High School, same high school Kevin Garnett went to. But that's when I look back on it, that 5 to 6 year old age is where I got my toughness.
Yeah. It's interesting that you said that because I always wondered, how am I going to respond when I see Jackson in that situation?
Yeah, it's gonna happen, bro.
Like, wow.
You want to be there. You want to be there to
yes,
be there for your kid, but
yes.
you know you're not really doing him no service by rescuing him. He got to realize what the world is. The conversation I had in the car with my son yesterday, I said, "Son, there's a lot of mean, bad people in this world." I said, "You're going to probably meet more mean people than you do nice people." I said, "But you got to make sure that you are always a good person. Mm-hmm. You help people, and most importantly, you always protect and take care of yourself." You know, and it's just when I feel those things, I go ahead and lay it out to them.
Yeah,
you know, just building bricks.
Yeah,
early foundation,
and just give them a little chops. Now, what position did you play?
In high school or college?
In high school.
High school, I played free safety. Played free safety in college, and yeah, man, I felt at home in that safety position. You know, it was almost like you were just out there on the field, just free. Nobody blocks you. You know, you got a couple assignments, but at the end of the day, you know, you're the last man. If they get past you, that's it.
Did y'all play against each other in high school?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We played against each other in high school. I didn't know Don then, but we played against each other in high school.
Yep.
Don was a year behind me, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was a year behind me, so we played against each other. It was pretty good.
So you couldn't play free safety though.
Huh?
You couldn't have played that position.
I played corner and strong safety. I couldn't play free safety. Stop it.
Steve don't like to get hit, bro.
Let me tell you about it. So since we're talking about hit and free safety,
you don't like to get hit.
Let me say this. So we was at practice. So we played college ball together. And that's what we met at North Greenville. And we was having a spring practice. And we had a crazy coach, Coach Taylor. I think he had just got there. And we were just messing up. And it was, you know how humid it is in South Carolina. So the offense, we finally get down to, I think, the 5 to 6 yard line, maybe 3 or 4 yard line. And Coach calls a bubble screen.
I remember this like it was yesterday.
And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go in and score. Easy work. So boom, hit my step, go back for the ball. He hit me right in the pocket. Now, I got 2 blockers in front of me. Dunn's the free safety in the end zone. He's supposed to fill the alley.
Yeah.
We're banking on him not being able to get there. Joe, I caught the ball and I was on cruise control. When I tell you, I felt the hit come out of nowhere. When Dunn hit me, I thought I was still running, but I was actually hitting the ground. You know the cartoon boing. I've never been hit that, bro. I've been played some football and played against some people. I've never been hit that hard in my life.
Wow, but to his point, that takes me back to that first year when those guys used to bully me.
Yeah.
And I said I'll never let people hit me and throw me around the field that way. And it like I said, it shaped me to who I was able to be on the football field.
Yeah.
You know, just that tough, tenacious. I'm gonna get you before you get me, and you gonna feel it.
You were old school safety, right?
Yeah, I couldn't play today, bro. The rules and the regulations.
Listen,
there's no way in the world.
And Dunn. And you had to go to the doctor, right? Correct.
Yeah.
For his head. Like I'm telling you, bro.
Yeah. So
football is I see why they're doing the precautions they do. But football is not a contact. It's a collision sport, and it's dangerous, bro. I still if I move my back the wrong way sometimes, bro, I'm like, man, I haven't played in 10 years. But, bro, it's a car wreck every
But does that
single
frustrate
Saturday.
y'all? But seeing how the game has changed so much?
It does. It frustrates me, but I understand it. I understand it, but it is frustrating.
The reason why it frustrates me is because obviously I played the game that way. So it's hard for me to see the game move to like this. You can't do this. You can't like you really like inhibiting the players from being who they really are. But I'll tell you, man, about 5 to 6 years ago, I started getting really bad migraines, like every couple days. And so it got to the point where I said, I can't take this no more. So I went to the doctor and I explained to him, played football my whole life, just a lot of banging, just head trauma, boom, boom, boom. And back then, when we played the game, they didn't teach you how to tackle.
You led with your head.
You led with your head, and that was the way I played. And it got to the point, Joe, where I had to get like CAT scans because I had started getting so many headaches. And now there's times where I'll be doing something or I think of a thought and I can't remember what I was thinking about. And it'd be for a split second. And I know it came from playing football. My headaches aren't as bad anymore because I live a lot healthier lifestyle, drink a lot of water. But like CTE, I don't know if I have it. I've never been tested for it, but it definitely is. There is a thing.
And you played reckless. And,
I'm talking about reckless.
I can't explain to people that he really played reckless.
Reckless. From little league to high school to college. There would be times where I would hit people and I would get up and see purple and blue and stars and the light would go away. And it would come back, and then back in the early 2000s, those were the times where coaches be like, "Good job, go do it again." And so you still ain't right. You line it back up for the next play, and your head gets hit again. So,
now, are you You say you're training your son. Are you training him in the sport of football, or because having that history, what you're going through?
Talk about that a little bit, Don. Like, what is the dichotomy between you, what you feeling right now, and what you're potentially walking your son into?
Yes. It's tough, man, because he played flag football for the past 2 years, and he's getting to the point now where he's so physical where he's dang near tackling the kids. And they really, they shy away from that. But I don't want to shy him away from tackling because once you take that out of the kid, it's hard. But Daddy, you told me to go 100. You told me to go full speed, and now you're telling me to fall back. Yeah. So I'm gonna put him in tackle next year. We're training him at the quarterback position, just because it's not so many blunt trauma hits. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to see how he does. I mean, we're just going to see, man. Hopefully I can try to teach him, to hit correctly, but it's a sport I love, man. Yeah. I grew up playing it, and the kid watches Ray Lewis while he eats lunch.
That's crazy.
In our kitchen. During his virtual school, I'm going to give y'all an example. During his virtual school, they have a break where they do like just dancing. Well, they'll set the iPad up, and you see the kids on the iPad dancing. His dance is Ray Lewis's coming out smelling the grass, and he's playing football. Wow. He picks up grass and smells it. Yeah. So I don't want to say that. And I'm not lying, man.
That's facts.
Yeah, that's an interesting situation that you're in. Because listen, it's easy for me to say my son is never going to play football because I never played football, so I don't have that intimate connection.
But soccer is just as bad.
It is. I mean, yeah, it is. Trust me, I know. Hitting the ball when that ball's coming at full speed, that's what it looks. I probably had like 3 goals using my head. I didn't.
And concussions that you didn't know about.
Exactly. Because I knew that just wasn't normal. But I can't steer my son away from soccer because I love it so much. So I can't imagine you being in that position because even though you know the damage that the sport did to you, it's still like, would you even be in the position that you're in now if it weren't for football?
That's what I'm trying to say.
It was a sacrifice.
That's what I'm saying, Joe. Soccer's in your blood. Yes. It runs through your DNA. Football and basketball is in your blood.
It is.
There's not a day that goes by that y'all don't think about soccer and think about football and basketball.
Sports podcast.
Exactly. You can't get away from it.
That's facts.
Yeah.
Let me go here, Don. So you move from college, you graduate, you get your degree, and you move into corporate America.
Right.
Tell us about that experience, because what I want to work up to is how you get to where you're at now.
Okay, so I graduate college, and obviously when you get out of college, you don't have any experience. You go to school for 4 years, you learn a trade or whatever the case may be. I majored in mass communication, and you're putting out these different applications, you send in your resume, and nobody's giving you a chance because you don't have no experience.
That's right.
So you got bills, you start to acquire bills. So now you just got to do whatever you can do to pay the bills. And so I ended up landing a job at Verizon Wireless and selling cell phones, man. I worked there for 5 or 6 years. And it's funny, man, because now that I look back on it, you know, working at Verizon taught me how to deal with people of different races, different cultures. It taught me a customer service aspect.
That's right.
So all those years that I'm there, why am I here selling cell phones? I don't know. So fast forward, I ended up leaving Verizon just because I just got burnt out and went to sell cable with Time Warner for a year. That didn't work out, so I went back to the cell phone industry with AT&T. I was there for another 5 years, still asking myself, I'm selling cable. I'm in my mid-20s, and I start to feel like unfulfilled. It was to the point, I would call you, it would be to the point where I would pull up to my job,
Right.
and I couldn't get out the car, man, because I just felt so just empty, like I wasn't fulfilling my purpose.
Absolutely.
And I would call Steve, man. I would walk outside on the job and call Steve, and he would be like, man, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? You got to start walking in your purpose. You got to start training these kids, man.
Because let's go back to that too. So, because let me tell you what happened. Sometimes God will give you a glimpse of your purpose before you even jump into it.
That's right.
And before he got to where he is now, we're going to go there next. Don used to go to Harrisburg on the field and train about 4 or 5 guys. Just starting off kind of doing it. Just, he would go out there, wouldn't be nothing. Just, he would go out there, come back. He would go out there. And
I was training these guys for free.
And I went out there one day. I said, God, he kind of sound like a coach. But I didn't tell him that initially because I didn't know how serious he was about it. But man, it started to show up early. But then I think when he started doing that, the idea of his life started to make sense then. And he started to say, there's something I'm going for. Go ahead, Don.
Right. And then, as you live life and understand what God has called you to do, understand your purpose and understand your gift, then you look back and the pieces of the puzzle start to come together. It's scary, bro. I'm like, so why was I doing that? Why was I doing this? So let me rewind a little bit. Once I had my first kid, man, I got fat, bro. I was fat, Joe. 200 and my heaviest was like
262.
263 pounds.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Joe, I never stopped working out, Steve. I never stopped exercising after college, but I couldn't shake the weight. I didn't know what I was doing. I would work out every day. It got to the point where the gym wasn't working, so I would do like all the little home workouts, P90X,
Cheetos, all the diets,
all this stuff,
1,000 diets,
all this stuff. But listen, I'm telling you this to say, those things were getting me prepared. Workouts in the garage were getting me prepared to inspire people.
That's good.
To teach people how to properly be healthy and lose weight and it not be an easy process. I was fat for like 5 or 6 years, bro, and I hit it.
So you was on training ground.
I was on training.
But you didn't even know.
I didn't even know what I was doing.
That's deep.
Think about it. You just doing it.
I was in my garage with ladders and recording myself, like my transformation, and I was fat, man. I couldn't lose weight. My stomach. I'm gonna show y'all some pictures. I couldn't lose weight, and I just kept going and kept going and kept going. And I would watch these videos, and these trainers would just encourage, and I didn't know that it was going into my mental
just download
memory bank, bro, the whole time for years. And so I fast forward to now, and it's like God is showing me, now you know why I had you doing that. Now you know why I had you selling cell phones so you could be able to talk to people and relate with people.
That's good.
Now you know why you went through situations with bad bosses. Now you know how not to be a bad boss.
Because speaking of boss, let's go here first. You got to your threshold, 2019. 18
was when
so you had an issue. Something happened with HR. You had an issue, and you seen. Let me say this: Don was one of the top producers at AT&T, always at the top of his game. So it's not like he wasn't producing.
Yeah.
And you got shown their true colors when some bull crap happened that wasn't even on you, and you got to see how valuable you truly was. No matter how high you were producing, it didn't matter. At that point, and we talked about this. What broke you?
Well, it got to a point where I had got so dry on the inside that it was a struggle to get through an 8-hour shift.
Wow.
And one particular day, my wife and I were in the process of looking for a house. And one particular day, I was late coming back from lunch. And my manager had noticed that I didn't clock in. So he sent me an email, not knowing what he was doing. He sent me an email and said, hey, what time did you clock in? Typically, when they do that, you just email them back. Okay, I probably came back in an hour. I don't have no time. I don't have no reason to steal time from AT&T. Anyway, my timestamp that I told him didn't match what the camera said. So they put me on like a investigation to the point where it felt like they was trying to fire me.
Yeah. Wow.
And I know they were trying to fire me. This was during Christmas, the month of Christmas. So I'm in the process of possibly losing my job in 2018. Christmas coming up, and I didn't want to tell my wife because I didn't want to get her in a frenzy and things of that nature. But again, the pieces of the puzzle start coming together, and it's like God was pushing me out the door. You're ready now. What more do I need you to do? So at that point, I made up in my mind, and I'm having conversations with Steve. I would walk outside. He would say, bro, you need to go ahead and do it. So I walked outside one day, and I called my wife, and I said, babe, we got to walk in our purpose. I said, I'm going to put my 2-week notice in on this day, and that's going to be it. We're going to open a sports performance facility. We're going to start building some leaders. We're going to help try to transform these kids' lives. Now, mind you, Steve came up with the core, years ago.
Remember that.
You remember this?
10 years ago.
He came up with the core years ago, and he entrusted me with the sports performance sector. And I'm not taking it serious. Okay, whatever. I'm over sports. Blah, 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 blah. And again, pieces of the puzzle coming back together. We ended up, God blessed us with a building, a facility, and, we have the core today.
Tell us, what is the core, Don? What is the core? So you got this beautiful facility. Tell us what the core means to you.
So first and foremost, let me say this. None of this would have happened without, first and foremost, all praise due to God, my wife being involved.
Absolutely.
Because I really knew it was for real when she started looking for vacancies in buildings for us to put the core in. I said, oh, crap.
Audrey, his wife, bro.
She's a show me, don't tell me person.
If you want to get something done in your life,
his
wife is the person you need to go. Bro, she's Olivia Pope.
She
gets stuff done, bro. She gets stuff done.
She's a show me, don't tell me person.
That's facts.
And so when she started, love you too, babe. So when she started looking for facilities and she was on board, I said, okay, this is real.
Yeah.
And things started to just fall into place. The original building we were supposed to get, it wasn't zoned correctly, and then we had looked at another building in Mint Hill, and the guy, like, he really didn't want to rent it to us, and all of a sudden he called us one day and said, come sign the lease. So that happened. You asked me, what is the core? Man, it's hard to explain, man. When you walk through those doors, there's an energy that you feel, and it's almost blissful, bro. And I equate that to being able to walk in your purpose and in your gift. It's almost like having a superpower.
Wow.
There's times where I would train kids, and they're going back to the Tiger Woods documentary when they said that he would be able to like compartmentalize and just zone out. There would be times where I would train kids, and I would almost lose myself for a second, and then I snap back into it, and I know that that's God operating through me. This ain't nothing I'm doing on my own.
I can listen, and this is why I'm glad you're here. I can be a witness to say that Dunn has no formal training. Dunn, it wasn't nobody. Dunn.
I didn't go to school for this.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't have nobody like, hey, go do this. This why it has to be God.
Exactly.
Because, bro, if you see him train, and I can be a witness when you know how Steph Curry gets in the zone. You know how LeBron gets in the zone. You know how people get in the zones. I've watched this guy get in zones and train and be fluid. I'm not talking about just a whole bunch of barking orders. I'm talking about detail oriented. I'm talking about watching every student. I mean, taking care of every person that comes into the building. When you see that level of consistency out of somebody, that has to be purpose.
It has to be
purpose. That's what I was going to say. It's purpose.
It has to be.
He's doing what he's meant to be doing.
And Joe, I train with God's help with a lot of energy. And I know that I would never be able to do that with my moral body without the help of the Lord. I go in there every day and I give those kids and adults every single thing that I physically have. So I know that if it wasn't for God, if it wasn't for his purpose, if it wasn't for the gifts that he's entrusted me with, I wouldn't be able to do it, bro. When I get home, Joe, there's times where I can't even move my legs, bro, because I done gave them everything. By the time Friday come around, I don't have much left in the tank. Saturday is a struggle for me to even walk up my steps and play with my kids because I'm so exhausted. But when Sunday come back, halfway through the day, it's like God just gives me another energy.
Now, everything, even in purpose, the harvest is always hardest to man. What I mean by that is there's challenges.
Right.
Everything, purpose isn't just euphoric.
It isn't.
It just isn't. When you get a blessing, bro, a wife is a blessing, but it's work.
That's right.
Married kids are a blessing, but they're work.
Right.
Let's talk about that.
Right.
Tell me the challenges that you, because I want entrepreneurs and people who's watching this, who's sitting at a job or sitting in something they don't love and they want to be inspired. But I also want to give them the reality.
The reality.
Yes.
So
tell me your challenges that you face from a family perspective and from a professional perspective.
So the biggest challenge for me now is balance and watching my wife, because my wife runs the back half of the business. Mm-hmm. Any paperwork, any customers, she runs that. On top of her real estate, on top of making sure the babies change. I got food, I got lunch, making sure dinner's cooked, making sure the house is clean. And so the job requires a lot of my time. And now I'm starting to notice that my son's older. My sons, I got an 8-month-old. And I'm not spending the time with them that I would like to. And it crushes me, bro.
Wow. Because
the job is demanding. Yeah. And it's requiring a lot of me. And the kids, my son's saying, now, Dad, you're never here. I don't ever get to see you. And when I am around him, he's all over me. Mm-hmm. So like even to talk about this now, man, it makes me really emotional. Like even today coming to the podcast, because I know the weekends are the times that I spend with them. Yeah. So Steve will tell you, when I'm not at the gym, I'm with them. Balance, bro. Balance, being able to spend time with my family and my kids.
Since you're making such a big sacrifice, what do you want out of this? Like, what do you want out? Because this is a big sacrifice. When you're away from your kids and you're doing something you love, something has to suffer in your life.
Right.
That's just a part of it.
Right.
That no matter what it is.
Right.
What are you willing to put in? You're putting a lot into this.
Right.
What do you want out of the core?
I want the core to be a place where people can come and say, they brought something out of me that I didn't think that I physically, mentally, spiritually had. They brought something out of me that I didn't know resided within me.
So you don't just train for just
physical. Whether that be just being a better person, a leader, a better sister, a better brother, better in the classroom. I want the kids to walk out of there saying, man, I'm so glad I went there. I'm able to be somebody that I didn't know who I was on a positive note.
Wow.
You know?
That's what you call an elevator pitch, right?
That is. So, and from a vision perspective, the physical building and the actual ascension of the court, what do you want next? What kind of facility? What do you want to end up seeing the court being? How do you want to see it end up operating?
Well, last week, I'm glad you asked that. Last week, I was starting to notice, and I was getting ahead of myself, I was starting to notice that we're getting a lot of kids in there. Okay. And another thing too, pieces of the puzzle coming together. Yeah. I was working out in my garage, small space. That small space and doing those videos taught me that you don't need a lot of space. That's good. Hard work.
That's good.
I'm in a 1,400-foot square building, and we got kids coming in there, and a lot of times they dig dog tired, so you don't need a lot of space. And God just kind of revealed to me that leadership doesn't reside in buildings and things. Leadership resides in people. Mm-hmm. So don't get caught up into the buildings. Get caught up into whose lives you're changing. That's the thing that takes you further. You know? So for me, I feel like that'll come when it's time. But most importantly, leadership resides in people, not in buildings, not in equipment, not in all the fancy lighting and things of that nature. because we're not the biggest. We don't have everything that I think we should have. But as long as I'm changing these kids' lives with God's grace, God's ability, God's gift He's given me, that's what's important.
But what kind of building would you want though? If you had if you could choose, if the core could be, if you could say, if money wasn't an issue, how would you build the core?
I would want the core to be franchised. I would want our culture to be implemented throughout all the facilities, because that's the biggest thing with us, man. It's our culture. That's why people like to come there. Joe, I work the living dog crap out of these kids. We really, really, really push our kids, but they keep coming back for more. They keep coming back. Joe, I don't think you understand. Like, we really push our kids, man, to the point where sometimes after the workout, I got nothing but bodies laying on the floor, people just laid out, you know. But they keep coming back because of the culture that God has allowed us to create. So, facility-wise, man, the best. You know, I would like the best. I would like a 5,000-6,000 square foot building. I would like turf on the outside. I would like a track to go around. But again, you know, for me, it's about relationships. It's about changing lives. The building can burn down, as long as we're here with each other. And you can say, hey, man, I went there and I was a better person when I left than when I came. That's what it's about for me, bro.
And seeing those type of influences in our community, especially in the Black community, being a positive aspect for our whole entire structure that we're trying to set up. And that's what I want to build with this podcast, is that right there. I want to embody that story. I want to embody that perseverance. I want to embody that positivity, because I want to have him on first because I watched his entire journey. So nothing he's saying I'm not surprised by it or don't know. Yeah. And I can confirm every word. This is no cap. This is no rap cap, bro. I'm telling you, everything he said is actual facts. And I believe me and Don, if you see me, you see Don when we go out in Charlotte. And bro, people respect us because of our authenticity. People don't respect us because when we meet people, we embrace everybody. People support us because of that. And people are supporting him because of who he is. Yeah. Don is a stand-up guy. Yeah. If you ask him to do something, he going to do it. He going to be straight up with you no matter what it is. He going to give it to you straight, no chase. I'm telling you, a lot of people can't take Don. and that's why I'm as strong as I be. That's why it don't matter where this podcast goes, good, bad, or ugly. Man, I got the most blunt. I got the most straightforward best friend that you can get, bro. So ain't nothing gonna go unnoticed with this guy. But I'm gonna go here before we end it. Now, there's another venture that he has, and I'm wearing his clothes right now. Listen, bro. Let me be clear about this. Let me not mince words. There's a lot of guys out there that got that are fashionable. There are a lot of guys that can do it. Listen, bro. Ain't nobody in this fashion thing like my bro. I swear, I'll go back to college. When I met this guy, he was wearing oversized jerseys. This nigga was corny. I don't know what. Facts. Now, I will give myself a look. I raised bro. I gave bro the game, and he took it to another level. I gave him a hot song. He gave me a hot album. He took it to another level. When it's time to put on clothes, bro, you see the niggas on Instagram call him. He's a designer extraordinaire. So he doesn't just have one purpose. Talk a little bit before we end this, bro, about your fashion and what it means to you. I know you're not currently doing it right now because the gym takes up so much of your time, but tell me how did it come about and what you kind of want to see whenever you get some time in your future to take it.
I'll say this, going back to Earl, your kids typically love what you love. Yeah. And fashion has kind of always been something that I focused on. And I remember in college, man, I thought I was fly until I met Steve. We would get out of football practice and we would take showers and get ready to go eat. And I remember him standing at Bruce. You probably remember this. You'd be standing at Bruce, outside of Bruce, and you had fresh jeans on. You had the New Balances when the New Balances was hot, a fresh shirt on. And then we became roommates. And he started teaching me how to piece things together. I thought I knew, but I didn't. Yeah. And ever since then, man, I just kind of, I don't know, I guess it's another gift. I just kind of took it to another level.
He did.
And it's, again, like I talked about running in your DNA, my mom would tell me that my dad used to get really, really fly. I never saw this side of him. Yeah. But she used to tell me, like, he was fly. And so I know for a fact that that's where I get it from my dad. And as far as fashion goes, man, it's always going to be a part of me. You know, I would like to have my own production team. I would like to be able to say, draw up a drawing. This is what I want. Let's get it produced. You know, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy for me. It's easy for me to design. It's not as easy to create because, like Kanye was talking about, you need the infrastructure. You need the backing. Like it's not like what I have on now. This is something that I made. I took this 1950s.
You made this too.
Yeah, I took this 1950s vintage cardigan, and I put the Moschino brand on it. So you know, and it's good quality. Like I'm burning up in this thing.
Yeah, no, it's good quality.
Yeah, it's good quality. The jacket Steve's got on,
Yeah.
you know, those I like good quality material, good quality products. And in order to do what I really want to do with it, I need the backing, and you know, in God's grace, God's favor.
In 2012, I seen this guy walk, and what was it? Ooh, what was
CIAA.
CIAA.
Cameo.
He gave. Was it Fab?
There was Future.
Yo Gotti. He had just started.
He
He delivered them all clothes.
Wow.
So he got the juice.
Yeah.
You know, he got the juice. And I think, you know, just wrapping up, man, like, this was a great podcast. You know, this is just hearing you, bro, hearing your story. And I want to tell you again, over and over again, I appreciate you. I think we need to do that. Life is short.
Yeah.
If you got your brothers, you tell them you love them.
Right.
You got people in your life, Joe, I love you.
Right.
I appreciate us going on this journey together. Now, Don, keep going, bro.
Yes, sir.
Don't stop.
Yeah.
Keep elevating. Keep going. You're going to inspire a lot of people. I see the look in those kids' eyes. You inspired me. This podcast exists now because of your example of seeing you, what you did, just walking to your gift. So I start walking my gift. Joe, you introduced a lot of things to me. Look when 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, so shall I be. So that's what I'm saying. We're gathered here, man. We have a church, man.
Yeah, you never know who you're inspiring.
That's facts.
I'm telling you, man. You
Exactly.
never know.
You never know.
Exactly.
You never know who you inspiring, bro.
It's
You
Steve,
inspired
bro.
me. I inspired you. You inspired. You never know, man.
Yeah.
You never know.
You're
Man.
always on the interview.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man. I'm inspired.
I'm inspired,
You
man.
can't help it, man. If you're not,
Yeah.
I mean, that's really going to resonate. It resonated with me.
Absolutely.
That's going to resonate with a lot of people, Don. And I'm glad that you touched on the work part.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, a lot of people, they want an instant. Like, they don't want to put the work in. They don't want to put the grind in. They don't want to know the reality of it. Like,
That's
it's going
facts.
to take sacrifice. You're not going to be able to spend time with your kids. You're not going to be able to hang out as much as you want to. But you're looking at the end result.
right.
You're looking at the end result. So, man, congratulations to you. We're going to make it manifest. It's going to happen.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Like-
Before we leave, quick, Tampa Bay or
Yeah,
Kansas City?
Super Bowl predictions.
Tampa Bay.
Man,
Who you got?
can I get two?
Nope.
answers?
No.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay or KC, bro.
Who you got?
It's hard to go against Tom Brady, man.
Exactly.
I'm going with Tampa Bay. Let's do some scores, too.
I got Tampa Bay. 27-18.
Nah, they're gonna score more than that.
I got 27-18. Let me tell you why. I believe that Tampa's defense is better than what people seen. They've created a lot of turnovers through these playoffs. I've watched them every game. They're very opportunistic. And I think Mahomes have been careless with the ball. And this might be a lot of pressure because San Francisco Super Bowl, his legacy went on the line. Right now, this could be a long-lasting effect. And I wonder, will he come out and try to do too much? Go ahead, Don.
I'm gonna say I think it's gonna be a close game. I think a 34-28.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 34-28. Brady on top.
Brady Super Bowls are close. So we know it's going to be a close
I know it's
game.
gonna be close.
Yeah. If Tampa wins, it will be on the strength of the defense and causing turnovers. So I like that score. What Don said. I'm gonna go close. I'm gonna go 27-24.
Real quick.
All right.
If Tampa Bay wins, the enemy better get a head coaching job. No more coordinator.
You mean
stuff.
Casey?
I miss KC. Sorry. If KC wins, Eric Bieniemy better have a head coaching job, and I'm talking about a legit one. Don't send that man. Don't send that man to New York Giants.
I got my thoughts on Eric Bieniemy. We're not gonna dive into this podcast, but I will say this: if Kansas City wins, it's a blowout.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No
If
question.
Kansas City
No.
wins,
Yeah. I agree with that
it's
wholeheartedly.
a Seattle versus Denver type Super Bowl where
Oh,
Tom
God.
Brady just looks old.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
That's the only way. But before we close out, one last thing. By the next time we gather here, will Deshaun Watson still be a Houston Texan?
He won't be a Houston Texan by the end of this week.
Wow.
Well, the GM and the coach seem to think so. So I don't know what there's some
He's not
discord
even
in
answering
that.
the calls or nothing.
There's some discord in that organization.
Terrible.
They're gonna get that man killed.
Listen, man, it's the SteveJoe Podcast. Don, we appreciate you, bro.
Thank y'all for having me,
It's
bro.
the SteveJoe Podcast. Thank y'all. Please subscribe. Come on, baby. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Sir.
See y'all next time.